What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to UAP Tuesday on the Big Thing. I hope you had a wonderful holiday. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope you had nice meals and spent time with the family. Did whatever you need to do. And we're looking out in the sky every time you walked outside, because that's what I do now. Every time I'm walking around, I'm looking up in the sky. So if you're joining us here today, what will we be talking about? Well, why isn't the news covering this story? Apparently, there was the UFO or UAP potentially tracking Air Force One. Did it turn out to be UAP? Was it something else? Speaking of UAPs and other things that could be, did they find something on Mars? That's another report that came out recently, that there might have been something crashed on Mars. So we'll definitely talk about that. Military. We always talk about the military, always having reports of what do they know, don't know. There's a lot of ex-military coming out and saying things. Well, there's another ex-military talking about that. Indeed, the military has been covering up UAPs. Some interviews that we'll talk about. We have an interviewer on the ground talking about some things going on in the world in the UAP. And speaking of Air Force One, speaking of President Biden, apparently they have signed something very important into play. And we'll go over that as well. It's me and Mark Riley. If you're brand new to the channel, you've never been here before, be part of this conversation. It's very important to be talking about this. And if you're stumbling upon this for the first time, hit that button. We're trying to get to 200,000 subscribers. We do this every Tuesday. We want to be part of this community. We want this community talking. I say this every time. Sometimes I forget to say it at the end of the show or in the middle of the show. And it's like, look, you're coming here and you're talking to people like yourself who are just trying to find out answers. We're not pretending to be experts. We're just trying to find out answers. So it's me and Mark Yodius Riley. It's the Big Thing. It's UAP. Let's do it. All right, it is the Big Thing. It is UAP Tuesday. It's myself, Kristian Harloff, joined as always by Mark Yodius Riley. Mark, how was your holiday?
Fantastic, Kristian. How was yours? I ate a lot. I was with the family.
Yeah.
We cooked. We opened presents. Couldn't ask for anything better.
And that's what you got to do. So glad to have you here. Things have definitely gone down, as we were talking about last week, on catastrophic disclosure. Well, there's things, Mark, that are going on in the news right now that's pretty nuts. And I don't know if obviously you saw this report that I sent you that we should be talking about, or everybody should be talking about. And let me get to it. Here it is. It's USA Today actually reported on it and says UFO or balloon. There's an unidentified object spotted over Air Force One, and it may have a simple explanation. Well, let's see the report. All right, Mark, this is from USA Today, and it says UFO or balloon, unidentified object spotted over Air Force One, may have simple explanation. Unsurprisingly, speculation that the footage captured December 10th above LAX showed an object extraterrestrial in origin began almost immediately. All right, so a pair of amateur plane trackers captured strange footage earlier this month of an unidentified airborne craft that appeared to be hovering over Air Force One as President Joe Biden visited Los Angeles. Surprisingly, speculation was that it was extraterrestrial in origin, and it began almost immediately. A few viewers are saying we saw a UFO. Peter Solorzano, who runs the YouTube channel LA Flights with his brother Joshua Solorzano, said with a laugh during the December 10th live stream. The plane spotters had set up that day to film footage of Los Angeles International Airport, LAX, as two F-35 fighter jets patrolled the skies for the commander-in-chief. While they were elated to film the jets being refueled midair by a KC-10 tanker aircraft, they didn't expect to capture anything as unusual as the white sphere that came into view. What's more, the brothers didn't just capture footage of it once, but 3 times.
Yes, give us a no if you want to keep seeing
Do
this.
that.
It's
saw that?
every few minutes.
I saw it. I watched this whole thing.
Boy.
Oh, really? I didn't
Yeah.
see it.
I'm not too sure what it was.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, someone's going to have to watch the replay and see what that was.
Something. Hold on. What
It
was
was
that?
going the opposite direction,
I'm going to have to see the replay of
flying
that.
above.
It comes back.
Give us a yes, give us a no if you want to keep seeing this. Keep seeing this. A few viewers are saying we saw a UFO.
Look at that docking, Peter.
Absolutely incredible. Look at that. Where are they right now?
I wonder what that was flying above, though.
And the F-35 now connecting to the boom of the KC-10 extender. Enjoying his work right now.
We saw something else fly above, too.
Jeez Louise, Josh
Yeah.
was spotting the UFOs, man. Are you
saw
ready?
that? Someone has to watch the replay on that one, too.
Who's gonna see the replay?
Something shiny that was like, it was moving around weird. It could have been a bird.
Yeah. His work right now. His work right now.
Oh!
Yes.
What is that?
Oh, that's it. Hold on
That's
a
one
minute.
of the things.
Is that it? Is that one of the UAPs that we've been talking about?
I'm kind of scared of looking at this.
Hold on a minute, guys. This is one of the UAPs that we've been looking at. Is this it, Josh?
You know, Peter, that doesn't look like. I'm not too sure what that is. Could it be a
And-
balloon? I'm thinking balloon.
Yeah?
Yep.
Or are you just saying that to keep the certain
No,
authorities
really.
away? What do you guys think?
Unless it like just zooms by or something. I'm thinking balloon.
Yeah? What do you guys think?
Author Mick West, a well-known UFO debunker, reviewed the footage for DailyMail.com and concluded it was most likely a balloon. It's always the answer, a balloon. And there's so many balloons flying around in the sky. It was like a mad clown releasing balloons. As for the apparent motion in the video, West said it's likely an illusion caused by the balloon making it closer to the camera than fast-moving plane in the background. It looks like a balloon and moves like a balloon. That first one zipping across the sky was not a balloon. What are you talking about?
But they were following the plane, and that's what he's saying. And I'm kind of with him on that one because the balloon would be closer, maybe, and they're following the plane, which is moving at a great deal of speed. You're going to see that balloon go like that. But I wasn't buying it either, Kristian, until they held on it, and it just kind of.
Right, well,
I'm thinking balloon for me, but I wanted to believe that they're following Biden's plane.
I don't know what it was. The Pentagon's relatively new office to investigate UFOs, which the government refers to as UAP, has identified more than 500 military encounters with the craft since 2004, which some of those reports defy as an easy explanation. The Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, known as the AARO, has said many have been determined to be natural occurrences such as unpiloted aircraft or weather balloons. NASA is similarly insistent that no conclusive evidence has been found to determine anything, yada, yada, yada. All right. So, and that kind of couples up to the next thing. All right, Riley, in that the legislation that was essentially gutted, the big thing that actually, the UAP DA, which was essentially what they were fighting for, but they wanted more disclosure through it. It was gutted. There was less because of all the stuff that had happened that we discussed tirelessly on this show. Yeah. But what is pretty monumental is that Biden did acknowledge the bill itself. It's signed, it's approved, and it is a step in the right direction as we have, and especially in something like this, which who knows what the hell it was that we just watched. I don't know. But what I will say is that this is a serious thing if people are talking about it and you have it put it together the way that it is.
Yeah. It's good news that we've gotten this far, I think. And I kind of echo what I said last week. I'm taking it as a win for now. Yeah. And that if Biden's aware, he's signing this thing, that's some good news. And Schumer's coming out saying that, look, we're going to try to go back and, get more of what we need, which is the transparency. Kristian, we've been saying this over and over and over and over again. It's just the transparency that we want.
Yeah.
What the hell is this? And to have this many people, we have Rubio involved now, we have Chuck Schumer, we have a number of people bipartisan, and that is just beautiful to see. And if Biden's taking this seriously and actually perking up and listening to this, that's a win.
It's a big win. And I think that there's other reports, even so, where there's like reporting, and I guess that kind of plays into this next thing that we can talk about, is that from Newsweek, and again, more reports from more outlets that you're like, okay, more people are reporting on it than just us.
Right. Right.
Nothing against us, but I'm just saying, like, you want like bigger sites like Newsweek and the New York Times and stuff of that nature. And so you get Newsweek, who has this interesting article here, Mark, and it says extraterrestrial breakthrough will happen in our lifetime, scientists say. A breakthrough in scientific research into extraterrestrial life could be on the horizon, leading scientists have said, as both political and scientific minds delve into the murky world of unidentified anomalous phenomenon with new determination. UFOs refer to aerial phenomena that cannot be immediately identified or explained, while the term UAP is broader. Within our lifetime, even very soon, I think we are going to discover if there is life on other planets. Ravi Karaparu, planetary scientist with the NASA Goddard Space Flight Center, told Newsweek, "We are approaching a golden moment to which more and more scientific minds are turning their attention," he said. "I would say within our lifetime, we would be able to find life on other planets. There's no question," he added. There's no question. That's big. It is quite possible that evidence counting as a breakthrough on unknown phenomena could be discovered within a year or two, said theoretical astrophysicist Avi Loeb, professor at Harvard University, who is leading its pioneering Galileo project looking into extraterrestrial technologies. The Galileo project is the first scientific project that is analyzing UAPs in a systematic fashion over a long period of time using instruments that are fully collaborated and under control, he told Newsweek. So, whenever you take a path that was not taken, there is a good chance that you will find low-hanging fruit, and that's the way that I look at it. The past few years have seen conversation about extraterrestrial life move from the fringe to the mainstream in both politics and science. Researchers describe a marked difference in how the search for aliens or life inside and beyond our solar system is now treated by lawmakers and the scientific community, fueled by a surge in public interest. The U.S. military and others have lodged many examples of unknown phenomenon over decades, but there has been no concrete proof that any are related to extraterrestrial life. Yet, dramatic footage released by the likes of the U.S. Navy and veterans' testimonies capture the interest of Congress, members of the public, and scientists dedicated to look beyond our world. Yeah, man. I don't know. There's going to be something. And I wonder, though, and this is, let me put on my tinfoil hat if I can.
No, well, I'll get mine too.
Yeah, please. I wonder, though, as you and I have discussed many times on this show, that this is the most that people have been talking about this. This is the longest it's ever been to where it's hasn't been as taboo, that there's more people who don't feel ashamed talking about it anymore. Are people in this position now in a spot where it's like, because they know the people that are covering this thing out for so long know that eventually they're going to have to, there's only so many Mike, whatever his name is, that can block bills for that long before something comes out, and they're prepping it going, all right, let's just put something together. It's going to get out now, guys. Are they aware of it? And that's why they have scientists are going, yeah, I feel like something's going to happen because they got an inside track. They're Martha Stone it over there.
That maybe I think it's a combination of the general public finally tuning in. We need the mainstream media to start really covering it. I saw an article that was like, what is this? The transparency of this, and the Congress is signing the bill while the media shrugs. That was a headline that really stuck out to me because nobody's covering it. Nobody is covering it. I mean, that a couple weeks ago, Chuck Schumer literally going on the Senate floor and saying this, and this, and UAP. And the media is like, next week, we're talking about Hunter Biden, and we're talking about this, and we're talking about Christmas, and we're talking about, and it's just, I cannot believe that this is the biggest news in our lifetime, at least in my lifetime. One of the biggest things.
It is. And it's like, it is, there's only, and I think that, at this point, though, to be fair, again, the mainstream media portions of it are covering it, but it's mostly online. That's
mostly online. Yeah.
That's where you will, whether it's Newsweek, or Newsweek's a major organization, and
sure,
you can find a lot of the online reports. And the New York Times did something last week on them and everything. So it's out there more in the mainstream media and today's digital print, if you will. But I know what you're saying is the same thing that I've been saying, is that the mainstream coverage of, like, when you're trying to come in for dinner and you're sitting down, you're going to turn on the news. It ain't a story that's going to pop up on one of the mainstreams. And I think that's also because it's controlled. I think it's controlled, and I think there's a reason for it. In the same, like if these companies have a hold on some of these senators that are blocking bills, who's to say they don't have a hold on what's going on in the media? Of course they do. In the same way. So there's a reason for it for sure. But there's going to be only so long before you have to cover it.
And that's what I've been saying too. And I feel that this article in Newsweek is I couldn't agree more.
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of said, I feel like we are going to, in our lifetime, get some kind of confirmation.
That's what it says. Right. Yeah. Did they cover that story about Air Force One? Was that on the news?
I didn't see it. Not on the news. I saw it online.
How is that not the number one story? Even if it is a balloon, how's it not the number one story?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm a little bit more skeptical on this one. I do think it's a balloon, but
fine.
Yeah.
Even if it's a balloon, why isn't it on the news? If it was,
because I think at the end of the day, they're still incredibly biased when it comes to this, because they think that the audience is not going to buy it, or it might scare them, or it's going
to think Bigfoot.
Yeah, I think we are still going up against that. In my opinion, I think we are still going up against that. This falls in the category of dragons and wizards.
I think that's negated when
when Schumer gets up in the Senate.
When Schumer and Rounds are up there talking already, I think it's negated. I think all that is like, yeah, you're not allowed to be Anderson Cooper or Laura Ingraham and say, oh, well, we know better of what. I know they're not the ones making the decisions, but I'm saying like, oh, well, we're not going to cover that because it doesn't matter what those guys are doing. No, you need to cover that because that's Schumer and Rounds, and they
right.
It's a thing that they're covering. It's a thing that they're talking about in the House, and a thing that they're trying to push forward. It's just, I know that it gets repetitive on the show that we talk about it, but it adds into all this, especially when it comes to what, as Riley said, he's pretty convinced that it's a balloon, and that's fine if it is, but it's still, isn't that a story to say like, what the hell was near the president? And most people will go, it's probably a balloon, which is fine.
Sure, which is fine.
It's the story.
I wonder how much of it is advertising on these news channels, that they might afraid to put it out there, or the news desk is like, we don't know, we don't want to do this, we don't want to do that.
No.
But I feel like it's like, this is something that interests most everybody.
Yes.
Whether you're a casual observer or, like us that want to talk about it weekly. I wonder what it is, because even if it's a balloon flying by Air Force One, they could do it in a way that's like, hey, this is interesting.
Right.
We see this, probably a balloon, because, Mick West says it, and this guy debunks things, and, okay, looks like a balloon to me. You might have one of the news anchors go and maybe doing that, but just put it out there to see how they take it. Are they going to are people going to call into the show and go, stop doing that UAP stuff?
But that's why I use I always reference like when you see The Hill, when the two reporters, they have a dynamic where it seems shtick to me now. It seems like every time they talk about this, the woman reporter is always the skeptic now, and she's always disputing and going, I don't know, where's the proof? But at least she's covering it.
Yeah, that's what I think is most important, is that you let your audience decide for themselves.
Yeah, that's
you
right.
Report it, and if you're not going to report Schumer standing up there, why are they going to report?
Yeah, I know. That's true.
And that's what's really sad in all this.
I'll tell you, you need to decide for yourself for sure, but you also need to decide yourself if it's time for the right gift. That's right. I know that the holidays are past, but AG1 and Rocket Money, sponsors of the show, help out the show tremendously if you get them. So I'm going to tell you more about them right now. Hey, Rocket Money. How much do you guys think that you're paying a month on subscriptions? Yeah, that's what I thought. Most people think they're $80, $82. Yeah, right. You're paying closer to around $200. And that is why I use Rocket Money. What is Rocket Money, Kristian? Thank you for asking. I'm going to tell you, me. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions. It monitors your spending, and it helps you lower your bills. And it's all in one place. It has over 5 million users and counting. Rocket Money has helped save its customers an average of $720 a year and $1 billion in total savings so far. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and manage your money the easy way. Go to rocketmoney.com/thing. That's rocketmoney.com/thing. rocketmoney.com/thing. I always get excited when I get a chance to talk about AG1. You guys know, if you've been listening to this show long enough, you know that I've been talking about them. I've been drinking them now for, it's got to be at least 2 years. I started drinking AG1. I think Brett Sheridan told me about it. I said, you can't mess around with this, man. You got to try it. And I did. And it's a foundational nutritional supplement that supports your body's universal needs like gut optimization, stress management, and immune support. Since 2010, AG1 has led the future of foundational nutrition, continuously refining their formula to create a smarter, better way to elevate your baseline health. I've heard so many different people now talking about it since we've been talking about it on this show and how much AG1 has helped them. I talk to you guys, a lot of you guys, when we talk to do my one-on-one sessions that I do with people that go, yeah, I started doing AG1 and I love it. It gives me the energy that I need. Parents, I found new parents love this stuff. But everybody loves it. And not only for me did I replace my multivitamin with AG1 because I was never the multivitamin guy. I would try it and I was like, everyone's telling me, you got to do multivitamins. You got to do multivitamins. And I can't do that many vitamins. One scoop. I put it in a water bottle. I put it in a zoo cup. I shake it up. I'm good to go. I recommended AG1 to everybody, my friends, my family, you guys, and it's worked out. It's great. I get energy. I get a pep in my step. I love AG1, and you guys know how long I've been talking about it. People still, they'll tweet, and they'll X, whatever they X me, and they say, hey, AG1, you've been talking about it forever. I'm trying it today, and they never go back. AG1 is the supplement that I trust to provide the support that my body needs daily, and that's why they've been a partner for a long time now. If you want to take ownership of your health, it starts with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. But you have to go to drinkag1.com/big thing. Drinkag1.com/big thing. Check it out. All right. Thank you to our friends over at AG1 and Rocket Money. When you support the show or when you get one of these sponsors, you are supporting the show tremendously, and it keeps us on the air. It keeps us doing this. So thank you for doing that. I see people all the time saying, hey, look, I signed up today. So thank you. It does help tremendously. All right, Riley. So I want to kind of jump back into what you were talking about beforehand. You had mentioned this. This is an article, again, from The Hill. Congress hunts for illegal UFO programs as the media shrug. So this is, again, from The Hill. Over the last week, a flurry of coverage focused on the historic, unidentified, anomalous phenomenon, UAP transparency measures that President Biden will sign into law shortly. But the reporting ignored or glossed over a stunning development. The most powerful member of the U.S. Senate, Chuck Schumer, suggested publicly that elements of the U.S. government are illegally withholding UAP information from Congress. Schumer, citing multiple credible sources, made his extraordinary comments on the Senate floor last week. Given the decades-long stigma associated with UAP, it seems that only a significant amount of credible evidence would convince normally cautious, risk-averse politicians, let alone a Senate Majority Leader, to level such a stunning accusation in public. The underlying allegations, which the mainstream media have studiously and curiously avoided, are shocking. Great sentence. Let me read that again. The underlying allegations, which the mainstream media have studiously and curiously avoided, are shocking. Senator Mike Rounds joined Schumer and a bipartisan group of 4 other senators to co-sponsor the UAP Disclosure Act. In a rare colloquy with Schumer on the Senate floor, Rounds doubled down with yet more remarkable commentary, noting that the UAP Disclosure Act originally included a requirement for the government to obtain any recovered UAP material or non-human biological remains that may have provided to private entities in the past and thereby hidden from Congress and the American people. Senator Marco Rubio, vice chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, echoed Rounds' extraordinary comments in a July interview. According to Rubio, we have people that have high clearances both today and in the past who did really important work for our government and continue to do important work for the government, who have come forward with some claims about the U.S. having in the past recovered exotic materials and then reverse engineer those materials to make advances in our own defenses and technology. In an interview last week, Rounds asked a seemingly rhetorical question: Was there actually something found at some point in the past that helped us to develop some of our technologies? That remains to be seen, or at least remains to be disclosed. Moreover, as Rep Mike Gallagher, a member of the House Intelligence Committee, stated in June, new protections enacted by Congress resulted in all sorts of UAP whistleblowers coming out of the woodwork. These individuals, Gallagher said, are telling congressional investigators that they've been part of this or that UAP program, resulting in a variety of pretty intense conversations. In short, key legislators are sounding the alarm on an extraordinary story, and the silence from the mass media is deafening. As Schumer noted on the Senate floor last week, the United States government has gathered a great deal of information about UAPs over many decades, but has refused to share it with the American people. That is wrong, and additionally, it breeds mistrust. This makes me furious.
Yeah,
it makes
same.
me furious because it's the thing, and I haven't seen it. And if someone writes it, I don't care. It's like, this is what you guys talk about every week. Yes. Because you guys, as we said this beforehand, this is what gets me the most upset out of all of it. It's like, if people are like, oh, well, write a letter to the senators if you want to hear this. No, write a letter to your networks. Write a letter to the networks. If you watch CNN, if you watch Fox News, if you watch MSNBC, if you're watching anything, if you watch, I always bring Lester Holt or David Muir. If you watch any of them, write to them. Why aren't they covering this? Why isn't the fact that Chuck Rounds said that that there should be mentioning potential other life forms flying around the atmosphere, and no one mentions it except online and in different circles or on Twitter, but it's not being covered. It's a scam. It's an absolute scam, and I'm glad that they called this out in the article. So it is, the silence is deafening.
That's the best way to put it.
It's bizarre.
It is deafening. It's echoing in our heads going, why?
It's bizarre. It doesn't make sense.
If you were to take this years ago, let's put 5 years on this even. 5 years ago, if Chuck Schumer, the head, the most powerful person in the Senate right now, stands up there and says there is credible evidence and credible witnesses saying that there are people out there that have non-human remains and or non-human crafts in the Senate, right?
And it's like, again,
and I mean, that alone is one of the biggest things to ever happen in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Okay. And the media is like,
no, it's not even dude. They're not saying anything. They're ignoring it.
Shrug.
Ignoring it. And people, the CNN covered it a little bit, and so did Fox. That much, and they didn't even have all the information. The information that they had wasn't even all accurate, and they said certain things that they weren't even paying attention to it. It's like, again, the main thing to say is this: we're not telling you guys that we think that they should be covering it in a way like, oh, well, he's saying that it's real, so it's real. No, it's the idea, because first of all, what the news is supposed to do is they're supposed to report. They're not supposed to have opinion pieces and all these things too. It's supposed to be a report, and you're supposed to tell you the news. But that went away a long time ago. But inside of what they're supposed to do, a news story is that both Schumer and Rounds are doing this, and the fact that they both say that they have reports that there's reverse engineering, that's a story. That is a news story. It doesn't matter whether you like it or not, or believe it or not.
Right.
It's a news story. It's a news story that you can have with somebody on your panel and saying, hey, the Senate Majority Leader said that there's reports, and he's up there presenting this. Is this something that is actually potentially true, or is this guy losing his mind? It's a story. It's a conversation, and it's crazy. It's crazy that no one is talking about it, and it's crazy that no one is really challenging anybody on it. Don't challenge the senators. You can write a letter all day long. Right, you can write it all day long. It's not going to do anything. They're going to ignore you, and they're going to do the same thing. Oh yeah, he cares. They don't care. Great. The news stations.
Yeah.
No answers.
That's the way to get this out there more. The senators are doing something. I mean, look at it. Look, they're actually doing something. It is the media that is not. That whole the Senate hearings with this, we were covering that, Kristian, and I go, I'm going to watch the news. I'm going to watch ABC World News. It was a passing mention at the end of the show before they go to their feel-good story of the week about a dog. You know what I mean? It's like,
I like dogs.
I love dogs. Don't get me wrong. I got 2 dogs.
Right.
But this is next level big. This changes the way it could change people's worldviews. And I always go back. I try to make sense of it. Is it because it's not getting viewers? Is it because they're going to get angry letters from fill in the blank? You know,
both those questions you should never ask yourself ever again, because
it doesn't freaking matter.
Never again. Because no, it does matter. It's like, because the first part of that question was, will it get viewers? As I mentioned with News Nation, okay, with News Nation on their YouTube channel. When you look at the stories that they cover, that every other outlet covers, the Trump trials or the Hunter Biden stuff, they barely crack 1,000 views, maybe 2,000 views. Every UAP story they cover does anywhere between 40,000 to 300 to 400,000 to whatever amount of views. It is their top stories. It's a reason why they cover it also more, probably because they get the views, because they're one of the only news outlets that's actually covering it. Same thing with The Hill. They cover it because they're both the sister station, but still it's the same thing. So, and then your other point, as far as people, the angry letters, you don't think they get angry letters about everything?
Right.
We're in 2023. People complain if you fart in your house while the door's closed, someone complains about it. It's like, so we're in of course they're going to complain. Everybody complains about everything now.
Yeah, I really do think it comes to the media seems to always control a narrative. I mean, there's like they're kind of telling you what you want to hear, and everybody keeps it in their phone. And now it's like, I mean, I got this. It's like all about the election. It's all about Trump. It's all about Biden or his son, and then repeat. You know, I put on the news, the CNNs, the MSNs, the Fox News. They talk about the same thing over and over and over again in various different political viewpoints. And it's just, how can you basically dress up a shit and call it different?
Right.
Just over and over and over and over again. If you were to really challenge the viewers, and I challenge people, that's probably not people who are watching this right now, but people just, they don't look up.
Right.
It's something they don't, right? They're not out of this. Yeah. They're too busy either looking on Twitter, looking to yell at somebody who is different in your political viewpoint, or looking to cancel somebody, or looking to just start shit over a movie opinion because somebody said they liked The Last Jedi. Whatever it may be, they're in their phone and they're getting all mad and everything. And you said something at the beginning here, Kristian. You're walking outside and you're looking up. You know, I'm doing that now too. I do that a lot. And I think it's important to get away from your phone and to get out there and get some fresh air and get some exercise. Sure, that's great. But I think it's important to pull yourself out of this echo chamber and getting mad at everything because of X, Y, and Z, and consider that there is something bigger than your freaking phone and your freaking opinion on the internet. Everybody just wants to be heard. And I understand that. You want to be heard. You want to be validated. But when you pull yourself out of it and you look around and you go, wait a minute, this world is bigger than I thought. And wait a minute, there could be something out there. I mean, it blows my mind to think that these people, that our senators are standing there united. Rubio and Schumer are sitting there on opposite sides of the aisle going, what's going on?
Yeah.
And the mainstream media is like, and now a dog surfing.
But dude, that alone is a story, is the fact that because again, hate sells, anger sells, and unification doesn't sell. Right. So it's like the idea that anytime they're around each other, they're usually at each other's throats. But when it comes to this, they're not, and they're on the same. Everybody's calling each other friends, and this because they realize in the heart of hearts what it's really all about is that, and the answers that they might have. I mean, look, you and I have been doing this show now 5-6 months or whatever it might be. I get emails from people now all the time, and I get DMs from people who are saying that they have information, that they have seen things, and that there's footage that they have, and 99% of it could be absolutely true, and a percent of it could be completely false. Who the hell knows? But what it does is that people want to talk about it. People want to go, hey, I really want to get my opinion out on this, and I want to talk to you about it. And look at this is what I've been able to experience, and this is what I've seen, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what political side of the aisle you're on, because in the grand scheme of things, you think it doesn't really matter. And that's why how this isn't a story to lead, like there's clearly, and as you and I, and to reiterate for the 100th, I guess 100,000th time, when we started the show, we said, I don't know if we're going to have enough to talk about. Who knows what kind of stories? There's new story that we haven't said that in, I think, after like the first month, because we're like, oh, there's literally stories like between 5 to 40 new stories with new information every week, enough that someone could put it in. Okay, again, Anderson, Laura, whatever. Here's this is what we're run down today. Make sure you cover this for at least, like, we're gonna go 10 minutes. We're gonna bring in Schumer to talk a little bit more. We're gonna bring in shoot, our boy from Doug Nammett.
Oh, Burchett.
We're gonna bring in Burchett. My mind's mush today. We're gonna bring in Burchett. We're gonna talk about Gary Nolan's coming in. We're gonna do this, and then you can move on, and then you can talk the Trump trials. You can talk Biden. You can talk about cats and trees afterwards too. Great, but you have enough to talk about it every week. Get it out there. Yeah. Someone's saying, Riley, don't get it out there. Someone's saying that.
I think I think that part of that, but I think you hit it on the head, the nail on the head square. The media wants to divide.
Yeah.
They want to breed discourse. They want to, I mean, if you go to
their team, they want to promote their team.
They want to promote their team, but it's all stuff that just gets people fired up. And you go on the left and the right. On the right, they're talking about either this or that and getting people angry about this or that. And then you go to the left and they're talking the same. They're doing this and they're doing that, and everybody's fighting. And where do they go? They go to X, or they go online, they go to Facebook, and they yell at everybody. Look at where, I mean, you can't put a movie opinion online without getting yelled at by somebody. You know, it's just social media is breeding the worst in us right now. And so when you then consider that the mainstream media is going to profit off that, then that's what they focus on. When this kind of stuff, when you see Schumer, when you see Rubio, and I bring those names up because I feel that they're most recognizable on either side, working together, you know, that, what is it? Unity, bringing people together. That's not a story.
I wish this was going on. So, dude, I interviewed Anderson Cooper when I was working for Fandango. He was He was doing a documentary on his mom, and he was a very nice guy. Came in and talked to him for a bit, and this is like 2016 or something. So this is before the mainstream coverage. You would have bet your ass that if it was today and I sat down with him, I would say, dude, why aren't you guys covering this more?
Yeah.
Why isn't this on there? I'd love to hear his answer. I'd love to. I mean, I just use him because he's like the one guy that I've interviewed, but I'd love to get
your personal experience with him.
Any of these guys. And look, this is the one thing that there are people that are starting to cover it more. You'll get, I mean, look, the mainstream coverage that Grush got, it was good that Grush was able to go on Rogan. It was good that Grush was able to go on Tucker Carlson's show.
Yep.
He was able to do these different shows, and he's getting the word up. But that was primarily, you're looking at a Spotify audience, big major audience, and you're looking at an X audience, again, big major audience, social media stuff. But it's still, they're about as mainstream media inside of the social media platform as you can get. So that's good that the word is being spread that way. But it needs to push into the television mainstream media as well. It just does.
Because that will get to my parents then.
Yeah,
that will get to the older generations, or people that aren't online. They're out there, and
they don't know about the story, dude. How, like, if you weren't telling your parents the fact that Chuck Schumer was out there doing this, first of all, it probably went in one ear, went out the other one. And they probably wouldn't know about it at all.
No. I can't wait to talk to my family about it more.
Yeah,
because it is, it is up to, I think, these, like the Spotify crowd with Joe Rogan, the X crowd with the Tucker Carlson Rush interview, us here on YouTube doing a show, other people that have podcasts, Weaponize and the likes, right? That is becoming the more preferred way to get your news. Now it's dangerous as well because you can
for people. I think it seems more honest for people because
it seems more honest. Yeah, these conversations, but you do have to be careful because you can get just anybody going online and saying blah blah blah, and a lot of people can believe that, and that's scary for sure.
Yep.
But it's starting to take away, I think it will take away and can take away audience from the mainstream that don't cover it, because I have noticed in this political climate that we are in, on the right and the left, I said it, that they are just covering the same old thing, and they are saying it 5 different ways until sundown, just to express the same point, covering the same story.
Exhausting. It's exhausting.
It is exhausting. Wouldn't it be nice to just have a different story? And it happens to be, what the hell was that flying by Air Force One?
That should be a story, even if you're laughing about it, saying, it's a balloon. It's a balloon. And then you have bringing somebody to debate it that goes, maybe not. And here's why. The stuff that they're talking about now, there was something in the sky near the president's airplane. That we know. You and I can agree on that. Whatever we think it could be. There was something floating around, whether it was a balloon or whether it was a probe, whether it was a who knows what it was. But no one, how is that not the lead story? How is that not a story? What was that? How did I not get a text from people who don't know this going, hey, I know you covered those UAPs. You hear about the thing? You know how I found out about it? I did a search on UFO news for because I that's what I do. It's how I get the stories, to check everything out. And it was the lead story online. But how is that not on everybody's feed? Why did I have to search for it? It should just I know that Vin Diesel's in trouble. I didn't search for that.
Yeah, that's covered right away.
You know what I mean? I know that all these things are happening. I know that all these different people, they get in trouble. That's trending right away.
Yeah, exactly. It's always the same. I can't believe more people aren't talking about the credible witnesses that sat up in front of the Senate and said, "This is what happened." Graves talking about and protecting the identity of some of his squadron members, talking about this thing flew this far away from me. I don't know what that is. And it's just brushed over by like it's a passing mention before the dog story on ABC World News.
Yeah. Again, I don't care what part of the aisle you're on. The president of the United States is flying around in the sky and something is in the sky near him. And they don't know what it is. And it's like, it's not like, and look, what I'll ask the audience is this, because I could be mistaken. Did you hear about this on the news? Did you see it on programs? Maybe Riley and I just missed it that night, and they did cover it. And maybe because normally when those big stories kind of break, people tag the Big Thing Show Twitter feed like that. And I didn't get hit with it once. And so I wonder, I would like to hear it in the comments section, because that's the other thing that I'm so grateful for, is that this out of all the shows we do here, this is the one consistently with the most comments and people talking to each other the most, not just talking to us, but talking to each other in the comments about what it is, because that's how the conversation continues. That's how it keeps going, is because you guys have an interest in it. And there are people who stumble upon it too, going, what the hell are these idiots talking about? And maybe you didn't know about the stuff with Schumer. Maybe you didn't know the thing about Air Force One. Look into it. Is the same thing that I tell people. Like I've seen people, what I always ask people when I see skeptics in the comments section who say things that seem like they are just not informed on some of the information that's been, at least over even the last like 6 months of stuff. And they say things like, oh, well, how come this? And how come that? I'm like, well, you haven't paid attention to this, right? Because that's been discussed, and these military leaders have said this, and this has been discussed. And I said to one guy, have you looked into that? And he's like, I have not. And I'm like, and he's kind of saying it like proudly. And I'm like, well, you can't make blanket statements if you're not read up.
Yeah. There, and I've said it, you got to be careful on who you maybe listen to online and stuff. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, this is an example I would put out there. People say, I'm not going to I can't believe this and can't believe that and this and that in regards to a movie. And then at the end of it, they're like, and I haven't seen it and won't see it either. You know, and it's just like this predetermined kind of thought.
Right. Yeah. I saw the same stupid thing again last week where, and I see it on both sides, but I saw the one that I saw, which clearly is someone who's not paying attention to this, said, this is just a cover up because they're trying to get attention away from Hunter Biden. I'm like, Tim Burchett and Chuck Rounds are Republicans. Matt Gaetz is a Republican. They're not trying. Rubio is a Republican. The major people who are running this are Republicans. Just because Schumer was in the front, this is and the same thing. And then I saw the vice versa. I saw someone going, "Oh, they're just really pushing this because they want to get the attention away from the Trump trials."
Yeah,
Schumer is a Democrat. AOC is a Democrat. They're on the same page. That argument has to go to sleep. You can make all your other arguments. That one needs to go to sleep. That makes no sense.
That argument is just fed to you. That is something that is literally a part of a culture that is, you know, you could say woke, you could say far left, radical right, whatever it may be.
It's just that answer.
It becomes a parrot. You're parroting what people are saying online without looking away and digging into the facts.
Yeah,
it's frustrating.
You got to be educated on it all. You know, it'd be like if you lead with, well, I think that Schumer is trying to do this because Round said this, and then Gaetz actually said this instead, and this, and you're using specific things to try to prove your argument, then that's one thing. But when you just say, well, the Democrats want to throw attention away from it, like the Democrats ain't really running this thing as much, even though Schumer's the one in front. You got Burchett, you got everybody else, and vice versa. That argument stinks like shit. That's the one that when it pops up, I'm going, this is someone who has read on nothing. You've read on nothing. I even actually had a conversation. We taped an episode of Katie Sackhoff's podcast with Jack Osborne, and Jack Osborne actually, and I have a lot of respect for how he handled this afterwards, because he and Katie talk about it, and Katie's definitely just not into it and doesn't believe in it at all, right? But like Jack is curious, and he's friends with Jeremy Corbell, so we had a couple.
There you go.
Yeah, and he's like, he was talking about the hearings, and he paid attention. It was right around like right after the hearings had happened, and he was talking about it, and he's like, and he said, I just think it could be a distraction when they're trying to divert our attention away. And I said to him essentially what I just said just now. I said, Jack, let me ask you a question. Why in the world would they want to be distracting from this if this person, that person is? And he looks at me and goes, I have to be honest. I didn't really think of it that way. I kind of changed my stance on it. And I was like,
good.
Respect to it, in the fact that he was just like, let me think about it. But the difference is this: I had a face-to-face conversation with the man, to where we looked at each other and we said, oh, I understand that. You don't do that when you're doing this. You're going right after that point. Yeah, is your point, and it's like, no, because someone will come in here and say, well, and I'll go, no, all right, actually, no. And as opposed to wanting to sit down to that person and go, well, wait a minute, why is that? But we have another. I want to talk about this Mars story, which is like also pretty fascinating. But before I do, I'm gonna lighten it up, and I'm gonna tell you about one of our other sponsors. And now, Riley, Joy Mode, they're back. I'm excited to tell everybody about Joy Mode. Riley, right now, might not be able to use Joy Mode, but once the kid's here, maybe it'll happen. All right, you know as well as I do. You've been standing at that gas station, you look over and you go, oh. Sexual pills. I'm going to try one of those. Don't do it. They are not good over there. Not healthy. But Joy Mode is. What is Joy Mode? When you go to the gym and you take something to help you with your workout, it's the same thing with Joy Mode. It's a sexual enhancement performer, man. It's amazing, and it works. The issue is that over-the-counter pill, it contains unregulated chemicals, it suggests unsafe doses, and it includes the risk of several other health problems. That is why we are partnered with our friends over at Joy Mode. I tried it. And man, oh man, it just makes you feel good. It's that extra pep. It's not necessarily a step, but you get what I'm talking about. Whether you're looking to spice up your intimate moments or increase your confidence in the bedroom, Joy Mode makes all natural and science-backed supplements dedicated to helping men perform better across their core functions. Their trademark product, the Sexual Performance Booster, it's every man's solution for increased blood flow, firmness, stamina, and performance. It comes in a palm-sized packet like your favorite electrolyte powder. Simply mix 6 to 8 ounces of water 45 minutes before sexual activity and watch the magic unfold. Literally. Redefine your intimacy and go to usejoymode.com for 20% off with the code BIGTHING. Appropriate. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code BIGTHING at usejoymode.com. Ingredients with integrity. Joymode. All right. Thank you to our friends at Joymode. That's right. Hey, Joymode is the shit. I'll tell you that right now. And like I said, this is a show you're going to hear about Manscaped on this show. You're going to hear about Joymode and all of it. I don't report in the same way that George Knapp does. George Knapp's an actual professional reporter. I'm an asshole who shaves my balls, and I Joymode. So deal with it.
There you go.
My favorite when people are going, these guys aren't professional. Like, no fucking shit.
No shit.
No shit. These guys.
Oh, burn.
You got me. You got me.
No.
No, sitting around watching, stoned off my tits, and I saw the UFOs investigating the unknown. Like, I'm going to watch this, and then I was locked in. I had too many questions after that.
Yeah.
All right, I want to play some of the interview here from, I mentioned Pavel, who is he was a fan of ours for a long time, and he actually is very much into way more of a professional. He's a professional reporter, and he just had a great interview, by the way, recently that I wanted to with Matt Laslo, who is he's a journalist and he's very much, if you know who Matt Laslo is, he's pretty much presses the Congress about UFOs all of the time. He's someone out there who's really doing the work. And so here's some of that interview. All right. So one of the fascinating things that I thought that he asked him about, and you can watch, I'm going to put the link for this full interview here, but he asked him about potential new hearings that they're going to have in January. And this is where I want to play.
I was wondering though, because I spoke to Steve Bassett, I'm sure you know who he is, and he's pushing for people to ask for more hearings in January. Have you asked any Congress people about that, or do you have any idea of if this might happen in January or February?
Here's the crazy thing about this year and then this Congress, the 118th Congress here in the U.S. It's a fucking shit show. Like so I'm a congressional junkie. I read a ton of history, all this. Like I say, I stopped giving predictions when Donald Trump won the Republican primary in 2016. So
we all lost money on that one though.
Yeah. And so like, that's when I stopped doing predictions. But now, like if I bet, I would have been like, yeah, I bet with Republicans in control of the House and Democrats in control of the Senate, I bet we'll have a government shutdown. Well, I'd have been wrong. They didn't shut down the government. They shut down Congress for an entire month. Right as America's ally, Israel, is attacked. And so Congress was shut down for 3 weeks as they were in the middle of a session trying to find a new leader. And so the fallout from that is something that we don't even see the ramifications yet. We're starting to feel it, but so members of the Congressional UAP caucus, three of whom, Burchett, Mace, and Matt Gaetz, those three were part of the 8 who ousted former Speaker Kevin McCarthy.
Yeah.
And so it was McCarthy who had finally kind of relented and promised them another hearing, and then he was going to give them access to the SCIF. And so that's where there was confusion. And so now it seems like the baton is kind of fully passed to the new speaker, Speaker Johnson. And this is where it was actually kind of important. Burchett had a meeting with him a couple of weeks ago where he brought up UAPs and said the speaker knew about it and kind of was encouraging their investigation. So I'm curious in the new year if they don't get a UAP select committee, because like this gets a little inside the Beltway, but before, so like a couple days ago, former Speaker Kevin McCarthy, he resigned. Like he's gonna go get a job working for a lobbying firm or a law firm, making 7, 8 figures, whatever. He's gonna sell his soul for. But so he's out. So they have to have a special election to replace him. And I don't know if your folks know the name George Santos.
Yeah.
Republicans finally, or the whole Congress booted him out. Well, he was a Republican. So now they have to replace him. Well, so with those folks leaving, you only had Republicans in the House could only lose 3 of their members and still pass a measure. Well, now with McCarthy leaving, it's down to 2. There's another guy who's about to leave. So in one sense, that makes every member of the House, all 435 of them, really freaking powerful. You know, especially the Republicans who Johnson's going to lean on to pass his measures. So if Gates, Luna, Congressman Burchett, if any of these folks hold out their support on a measure that Johnson needs to pass, and they say, I'll support it if you give me a select committee on UAPs, I bet they get it.
All right. So that's, you and I had talked about that, Riley, a while ago.
Yeah.
When we said that, what's so fascinating. And by the way, if you want to see that full interview, it's linked in the description. So again, thank you to Pavel for that.
Pavel's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great interview. And we're going to be doing some more interviews with him. He's got a lot of connections into it, and he's got a lot of people that he's have you been speaking to him as well?
Yes, I have. He reached out to me on Twitter, and we've been talking.
Good. So yeah, we're like I said, that full interview, you can watch it. It's linked below. But I thought that it's a full political game, dude. It's a full political game, and it's like you heard everything that Matt said there, and it's like, yeah, of course, that all makes sense, and they're gonna lobby it to go. Sure, I'll vote for you for that. Give me my committee. Right. If they gotta play House of Cards in order to do it, then let's do it. I mean, I'm so at this point, it's I just need some kind of answers as far as like what the hell is going on. So it's almost like this one of these things as we talked about for the last half an hour, Riley. I want something out there so big that the mainstream media goes, either we can't ignore this, or if they do, it's just so big. Like, why in the world are you ignoring this? It's like, what's going on? Like, not just me and you saying that, like, you know what I mean?
I tell you, I believe that can and will happen.
Yeah.
You know,
another committee in January.
I think there's going to be another committee in January. Yeah. But just to the point, I think that, I've said it before, with the technology we have available to us and in our pocket, that there can be something so real or captured, or that it's just going to be impossible to ignore.
Yeah.
I believe that.
I believe you. I want to play a little bit more from the interview though, too, because he actually also asked him a couple more things. And I think that there's some pretty interesting stuff here. Listen to this.
Whether some of that passion will come back. I'm also curious, especially when it comes to members of the Senate Intelligence Committee, namely Gillibrand, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, and then Senator Marco Rubio. Those two came out really passionate about this and really inquisitive, and then they kind of receded. And part of me is like, all right, what'd you learn? Like, what briefing did you have, and what did you learn in there? And like, are you comfortable with it? Because they seem to have had their fiery question. They seem to have had some of their fiery questions answered. And that's what I'm sniffing around for. I'm just curious either what they've heard or who twisted their arm.
What's your gut telling you? Because it could be one of two things, right? They're twisting their arm, or they're told something that is really, really scary, and they just backing out? What's your gut telling you?
Dude, but I'm like, that's what I want to know. And like, part of me, especially with the lack of curiosity from these sitting members of Congress, that's when I like judge them heavily. Because I'm like, what fun is being a politician except for getting to know the dirty secrets?
Yeah.
Like, that'd be
So
Yeah.
yeah, right. So it's an interesting point that we haven't really talked about too. Rubio was like one of the main guys like out there, and then
Yeah.
I love the question of, is there something that they found out that just scared the shit out of them? Because look at the stuff that Tucker was talking about.
I was just gonna say, yeah,
Right?
Tucker, what his comment about he wouldn't even say something that because it scares him so much. That Christian is what scares me. The unknown, of course, when you don't know, you fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
If there is something, and that makes me and my brain kind of go and like have a traffic jam in there, because wouldn't you want to be transparent to protect the American people? That's the oath you take when you
Right.
become a politician. So if it's something that's like really scary, okay, you don't come out and say it, obviously, and just blow your load, so to speak.
Right.
But you got to have some sort of transparency, that if it's, again, I go to Graves, and when he said that this thing, one of his buddies said, when this thing flew this far from me, that makes me think, okay, could the same thing happen while I'm traveling to New York in a plane? Truly scary to consider that there are things
Right.
flying around there that can actually take out either commercial or military or otherwise, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But that if our senators, our congressmen are learning things that scare them and they back off, that's something to consider, and is also something to ponder on why.
Yeah, it's true. It's and again, both Matt's website is linked below, and the interview with Matt is linked below if you want to watch the full interview. There's a lot of good nuggets in there to check out if you're interested in it. Last one here. This is from The Hill. Retired admiral says that the military has been covering up information on UFOs. So this was where the reporters' names are both Robbie Sove and Brianna Joy Gray. Those are the two that cover it a lot on The Hill.
Has the government been hiding the truth about aliens? In a recent interview with News Nation, retired U.S. Navy Rear Admiral, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration Tim Gallaudet said it was time to come clean. Let's take a listen.
I think it's about time that we do disclose that we are in contact with non-human intelligence. That's what needs to be put out there in the public.
In the recent National Defense Authorization Act that was signed last week, a half-page amendment written by Republican Senator Tim Burchett that would force the Department of Defense to declassify records relating to publicly known sightings passed, but Congress granted the government authority to remove information relating to UFOs from official records if it could feasibly harm national security. The executive branch has up to 25 years within a record's creation to make it public. The bill's passage comes as an increasing number of former defense officials are pushing for more transparency regarding UFOs.
Including that Rear Admiral that we just heard from, saying that he thinks the government has been in contact with extraterrestrial life, and that is exactly the kind of thing we want the government to declassify that information. But as I've said when we've talked about this previously, I have no faith that this is what we'll get, even if the Tim Burchett version passed, because any national security exception is going to result in them redacting wide swaths of information pertinent to this subject, as we've seen on every other subject, as we've seen on the JFK assassination files, as we've seen on the COVID origins, ordered bipartisan fashion by President Biden to declassify what we know about COVID origins, what has caused our various intelligence agencies to reach different conclusions about COVID origins. We want to know. Instead, they put out a brief summary of information that is absolutely totally public already. So national security is the blank check for the government to deny, to equivocate, to thwart independent efforts to learn information. And anyone who has experience filing Freedom of Information Act requests at any level, local, state, federal, knows that they make the process as difficult as possible. They, work within the letter and spirit of the law to make it as difficult as possible. You'll get back pages and pages of documents. Sometimes you get back too many documents to make sense of any of them. Well, here's a stack of papers, 99.9% of which are irrelevant to your search criteria, to your query, to make it harder for you to sift through the information. And then you go through things that are just black lines over everything. It's a huge pain.
Yeah, look, to your point, I know you can drive a spacecraft through the hole created by the state interest, national security exception. However, I don't want to skip over the nature of what that national security official Gallaudet said. He didn't just say there's evidence of intelligent life. He said there's evidence of communication.
Talk to them.
Yes, that suggests an ongoing dialogue, if you will. So there's a lot of UFO scenarios that could exist. There could have been a lone craft that had a malfunction that crashed to Earth, and they found the ship and the dead body, and that was that.
Right.
And that happened once in 1953, and that was that.
Right.
There's a world where there was like an archaeological dig, and they found out that aliens had crashed 1,000 years ago. I mean, there's a lot of different scenarios in which you could discover alien life, know of alien life, find alien technology that don't involve an ongoing communication, an ongoing relationship with an entire alien civilization.
So she actually, it seems to me like she's kind of coming around. A little bit.
She's coming around. Yeah. Yeah. She had a, I thought at first she had like a look on her face, like, oh, but then she's
covering it all. When you're covering it as much as she is, I mean, again, I give her both of them credit because they cover it all the damn time. So
yeah.
The more she's probably learning more and more, she probably knows way more than we do. And so you can tell, like, because she's not disregarding it anymore. She's like, look, maybe it crashed here. She's like, well, the thing, and good on her, because she was the one that said, well, wait a minute, you're burying the lead, the fact that this guy said that there's communication with them. And this is, again, why is a retired admiral saying this? They all went nuts. All the military people went crazy. Every military person that came out, they're all nuts. Like, isn't that a question that everyone should, like? Let me ask somebody who's watching this right now, who clearly is going to be a skeptic of, and saying, like, I don't believe it, and this and that and that. What is your answer to why all of this military, all the various, I mean, at this point, 30, 40, 50, hundreds of military people who have come out and said, whether they have firsthand knowledge, whether they said that they know for a fact through other programs, whether a guy like this, what's the motivation for all of them lying? If you think that, or making this up, what I don't understand that.
I don't either. I hope it's not. This we've been in such a weird political like echo chamber for a while now. And, part of that comes with, question your government. Sure. Question your leadership and all that. It's hard for me to question military when they've been they've taken oaths, the biggest oath in the world, that they could die at any day defending us. And that is something that I cannot say that I've ever done. And that is something that just has all sorts of respect for me.
Yeah.
So why would you question that? Why then would you question that part of it? And I feel it's because it's, you're fearful of looking up from your phone and realizing there's something else out there. I don't want to, I hope it's not, disillusionment with the military, because you have certain talking political heads out there that are calling them out. I don't like to think that way. But again, why would they all come out and have similar stories or similar kind of explanations? Why are they putting themselves on the line like that?
It's great.
I wonder if the narrative might be changing. I said it last week that the snowball is rolling down the hill, and it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger the more this goes along. So start to listen, start to look, and start to investigate yourself.
Ask questions. Definitely ask questions for sure. And I do hope, that's why I appreciated the question Pavel asked of Matt, is that what if the hearing is going to happen? And it does seem like there's more stuff that is coming down the pike in 2024 So you and I are going to have a lot to talk about, my friend.
It's gonna be a big year, Kristian. I feel it in my bones.
We'll see. So this is our last show of 2023. You can find us on Patreon. We'll probably have an extra one up there. If you want to check us out on Patreon, it's patreon.com/thebigthingshow. If you want to support the show that way, you can. If you want to support the show by getting one of the sponsors I mentioned today, you can do that. You can also support Mark Riley from following him on various platforms. Mark, where can I find you?
At Riley Around, REILLY Around, over there on YouTube and Threads, Instagram, and X or Twitter.
Perfect. For me, you can find me at Kristian Harloff every week. You can follow me at the Big Thing Show on both X or Twitter, whatever it's called. You can go over there and make sure you check that out for Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are found. I put the interview in the description. Everything you need is in the description. And we appreciate it. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your year. It was a fun 2023. Here's to 2024. Mark, it was a pleasure as always, my friend.
Pleasure.